Hello, Nicholas. We live? We
Yeah,
live?
we're good.
Yeah, we're live.
Mm,
Nice. I am getting more and more fucking forgetful by the day, Nicholas.
yeah, you are.
It's really starting to concern me.
Thoughts and prayers for your wife.
She's nah, she's yeah, no, it's probably a good thing for her. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all ages, Geeks Worldwide Radio and the Dork Shared Universe proudly present to you the greatest. I mean, the greatest. Can you feel it? We are the greatest podcasting team in the world. He's the Fry guy, Nick Friar. I'm your friendly neighborhood backcracker, Dr. Joe. And together we are the TLDR Comic Book Club. Baby, Nicholas, how you doing?
I am doing just dandy, Joe. And if whether you're watching us on one of our streams, it could be Doc's Twitch, it could be YouTube, it could be Twitter, or if you're listening on one of the audio channels after we've posted this live and everything, you'll notice that the title of this episode is "What's New." Whenever we have, or new comics, I should say. Either way. When you see that title, usually that means that there's something cooking, there's something in the hopper. But if we're not telling you what it is exactly, it means it's not done just yet. But that is an alarm for subscribe to our audio channels. Wherever you listen to podcasts, subscribe to us on there. Leave a rating and review. 5 stars on Apple only, and wherever else you listen. I don't know their rating system, but make sure it's the highest one. Otherwise, you're going to learn the real meaning of backcracker. Because on our audio channels, it's the only place you're ever going to get access to our Friar side chats. So we've had other specials too throughout this year, where that's the only place you can get those conversations that we've had with friends of the show within the DSG. But yes, so make sure you subscribe there, because you never know what's coming. Hell, we don't even know half the time what's going on this show. I don't know how we've been doing this for over 3 years, but somehow, bubblegum's held long enough, Joe, I guess.
Well, I'll tell you where it's not holding my friggin' brain. It is
Yes.
Swiss cheese right now.
Well,
Let me tell you something, right? 41's been a fucking bitch.
this is why we write things down, though. This is why we have a dibs list that now you and I have really committed to. Although
I've got so many fucking lists, Nicholas. I've got gambling lists now.
yes,
I've
I
got
know.
comic book lists. I got it's not good. Not good.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're not here to talk about my degenerate gambling habits. We are here to we haven't done a what's new in a while, which, as you said earlier, means we got a little something cooking. And this was an odd week because, like, we get our typical volume from Marvel and DC, but not a ton of books. Like, I think 40 something books between those two publishers, and we've maybe read less than 5 total. But like, boom, this is a boom and image dominated week for the most part. They
Yep.
each had some absolutely tremendous books, but why don't we start with catching up, Nicholas? I'm gonna say this now. We will be, folks, unless something drastic happens, unless my chip rings us, or my white whale calls, and we get another surprise fireside chat. We will be doing a trade before the year ends.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tease this, Nicholas. I'm going to tease you.
Oh.
I'm going to tease the listeners and the people watching right now. I have been balls deep in my trade book.
Oh,
Balls deep.
I love that. Oh man, what the hell is
And
it then?
so one Picadillo, I've noticed the last few mainline issues for cataloging purposes, when you upload them to to the places where they get distributed, you didn't put the mainline issue number. Also, on the last trade issue, you didn't put down what the other books were. Now I know why, right? Because you want people to kind of be surprised at what we may talk about. But I was recataloguing because I hadn't updated, again, talking about lists.
Yeah.
I hadn't updated the books that we've talked about on this show since like the early 70s. So I had to go through, and I was in the process of updating that. I was like, what were the second books that we talked about in the last trade? And so I had to go back, and I had to like scroll through the audio to find it. But
I never. So 2 things before you go further.
yeah,
I never put it in the trade.
I know.
Okay. That, and then the numbers are in the titles. You just got to go. You got to read all the way to the end. It's in parentheses.
Yeah, well, maybe it was something. It wasn't,
I need to put pictures in there. I understand it. I get it.
right. But anyways, so I in the process of listening to that, okay,
Yep.
you had made a comment about typically when we do our trades, because you were trying to guess my book. You said, well, typically you do something that we talked about in the last 10 books.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do that. I'm gonna tell you, I didn't do that again on this time around either.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
All
And I
right.
could and Nicholas, this might be something in from the Wayback Machine. I mean the
Oh man.
Wayback Machine. But anyways, so
Oh
I
man.
am enthusiastic as ever, gearing up for this trade, because it's one of my favorite issues that we do. And the book that I've been reading has just been absolutely tremendous.
Yeah. Oh man. So there's a few. I've never been more excited. And honestly, the trade is like what our show is all about too. We only do them at, obviously every 10 mainline episodes, which basically happens like, once or twice a year now with the way we kind of do things on the show. But like, that's what it's all about. It's, you found books that I passed up on. Occasionally it's books that we're both interested in and we have to fight on dibs. But generally there's a lot of books that I didn't look at and vice versa. And then we go back and check it out and it's like, oh shit, this was actually pretty fucking good. Like, thank God we do this show because I would have missed out on this story. So I'm excited. When you say that you're balls deep in it, I gotta wonder. I gotta think.
You want to take a stab at it? You want to take a
No,
stab at it?
no, I need to look back at, so everything pre the 80 to 89, because I know that like obviously you just ruled those out, but I need to see from like a length perspective because I'm probably leaning towards something longer based on your description of it. But for me, there's a couple books that I've talked about in like passing with on our show from like that you've talked about on here recently. It's like World Tree is one of them. We talked about that, I think, for our Halloween episode. I'm not going to do that one. Like, and
I
there's
would hope not.
yeah, I mean, like Trojan is another one I'm not going to do because like those, as much as like I've talked about those, like I love them, they're
Yeah.
awesome. But there are like, so I'm not sure what one mine is. Yeah, Barnstormers is another one. Yeah, so many of your fucking books I've talked about. Oh, I think I know which one I'm going to do now as I'm scrolling. But anyways, that's a conversation for another day. Very excited. The trade will be out later in the month, as will our annual, which we're both very excited about. But we have our holiday gift guide out as well. Before we get to catching up, just a reminder: if you've listened to that and you know someone who maybe it would help to get a little advice this holiday season, help them. Let them know about the episode. Have them check it out. Because it's, I mean, we're trying out here, trying to do work to help you guys out, to help out people who know about comic stuff, know people who like comics but don't necessarily know what the hell to get them. We know people who've been in that position before, so we're just trying to give you some options, somewhere to start. And I think honestly, like between the two of us, we come up with some pretty damn good ideas. We got a lot to pick from, that's for sure. But yeah, that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, it sure was. So make sure you give that a listen. That is that's a great episode you listen to many, many times between now and the 24th.
Yep.
Time is running out, folks. And
Yes.
I'm starting to freak out because my daughter hasn't told me what she wants for Christmas.
Oh.
And so I've gotten her a bunch of little things
Mhm.
that I know that she'd love, but like I'm still waiting for that one big thing. And
Mhm.
if I don't figure that out fucking soon, it's gonna be too late. But it's
Ooh.
again, talk about lists, different problem, different day.
Yes.
But so catching up, aside from the trade book that I've been reading, Project Cryptid issues 2 and 3. The third issue I think came out last week, and I was like, oh shit, I never read issue 2. So I went and I bought those 2 digitally. And again, that's just sort of like each book's got 2 or 3 stories revolving around various cryptids, the Sasquatch, the Chupacabra, right? That kind of thing. They're fun, great little stories. It's a nice little series that's going on. Antarctica issue 5. Read that. I've been talked about
Yeah.
that. That's a TLDR. If you, I believe I called dibs on that. It should be on the list. If
You
it's
did
not,
call dibs on that, yeah.
yeah. Excellent stuff. And then a book that I read the first issue of. I didn't know if I was, like going into it. I just didn't know what to expect. This is one of Scott Snyder's, original collaborations between him and Comixology. So the first issue dropped, and then there was a long time between issues 1 and 2. But issue 2 dropped a few weeks ago. Finally read it. excellent. It's excellent. Like I want more of it, and I want now. It's Duck and Cover issue 2. It's like it's again I was talking about like it's funny like you read one book all of a sudden now you're reading a half dozen of similar type books. I feel like all I'm reading now are dystopian future books, right?
Hmm.
And this is not quite like a dystopian future, but it's like but it is at the same time. It's like 1950s threat of the commies, dropping the bomb on us, right? And the fallout. And so it's got that science fiction, feel to it. Absolutely excellent. I mean, it's Scott Snyder. I don't think I've ever read a book from Scott Snyder really that I haven't enjoyed, but I'm really looking forward to, hopefully getting Duck and Cover, getting the next few issues at a little bit like, more sort of on time
Mm.
pace, because I had to go back, reread the first issue because it had been a long time, but
Mhm.
it didn't it's enjoyable as hell. It's like this book surprised me, as it Barnstormers, right? Like
Ugh.
that's the thing. Don't judge a fucking book by its covers,
Or maybe do it. Sometimes maybe
right?
you should. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
well, but no, like those were two books though. I think were the last two books that I drafted, and I was more excited about Night of the Ghoul and Clear and some of those other books.
Yeah.
But everyone that I've read, especially from that, from the that original sort of Scott-tober lineup that we got there, I've enjoyed every single book that I've read. And so Duck and Cover, you can right now they're just on Comixology. So if you have a Comixology account, download them for free, read them. If not, just buy them digitally, read them on your iPad. Absolutely excellent.
Yeah, speaking of finding stuff, digitally with comics and everything, Top Cow did an interesting thing that they reached out to us about a little while. I think it was right before the holiday. That's up on Geeks Worldwide right now. Haunt You to the End, issue 1, is available for free on Geeks Worldwide. I haven't checked this out yet, Joe. This is one that slipped under my radar, but when I read the synopsis and Andrea Muti is the artist on it, I was like, how did I not give this one a look? At least the trade is
Yeah.
coming out. It's I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it's in the article. So this is something that I'm gonna check out. And I may just get the trade and just take the gamble on it because why not? But stuff that I've been catching up on: The Devil That Wears My Face, issue 2. Kick ass. Just like this is an awesome series. This is going to give you nightmares, Joe. I don't know if you're going to be able to read it, but I've called dibs on this. I will be talking about it on the show. Of course, that's from Mad Cave. And then a company that we don't get review copies from, obviously a fairly new company, but with creators that we know very well. Becky Cloonan, Tula Lotay, obviously you just mentioned Barnstormers. Somna, issue 1. I called dibs on this because the second I saw Tula Lotay, I'm like, I'm in. I want this. And Becky Cloonan, I wasn't sure exactly when you got like these two artists. Like, okay, is it Becky Cloonan going to primarily write and Tula Lotay is going to primarily draw? Wasn't sure what that tandem was going to look like. Now I know, and I fucking love it. Tula Lotay is basically drawing these like dream sequence type like parts of the story, and then Becky Cloonan is doing stuff that's happening in the present day. And the story is quite risque. It is set in like Salem witch trial times, and it's risque, and it's also very dark. And I'm in love with this story. I'm like, I cannot wait to read Somna issue 2. If you haven't checked it out, go find it at your local comic shop. I'm sure it's there. I mean, and these are like I believe I got the Becky Cloonan cover just based on the art style. And I mean, the Tula's cover was awesome too. But
You didn't want to get the black bag cover?
I don't know.
They had it in Newbury. I almost bought it.
They did? Oh
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Well,
I
there you
almost
go.
bought it, but you called dibs, so I didn't grab it.
It is that risque. I mean, you can pick it up for yourself, but this also comes with. I don't know exactly how many pages there were, but it's definitely like it's obviously like prestige size, but it's a little bit thicker. It's broken into 2 chapters in this one issue too. So that was interesting too. So from Distillery, Somna issue 1, I absolutely cannot wait for the second issue.
Nice.
All right, let's get into what's new for this week. Why don't you start us off with the trades that are out?
So we got some pretty sweet trades coming out this week. So from Marvel, we have the Immortal X-Men Volume 3, that of course written by Kieran Gillen. We have Ghost Rider Volume 3, that written by Benjamin Percy. And then this is sort of a this book I think had come out a while ago. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man by Tom Taylor. It's getting a re-release, I believe. And then Groot Uprooted. From DC, we have Superman, Son of Kal-El, Volume 2. Speaking of Tom Taylor. We have Batman, Dark Detective, Volume 8. Nubia of the Amazons, and Danger Street, Volume 1. From Image, we have the latest volume of Saga. That would be Volume 11. Holy smokes. I did again, Nicholas. There's a TMNT trade coming out from IDW, and I just wrote TMNT. You know what it was? I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened because I'm looking at IDW, and I see the trade, and then I see the Last Ronin re-release, and I said, "Fucking re-releasing the single issues." It's just driving me.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah. So that's why there's a TMNT graphic novel being dropped by IDW.
Restraint, folks. That's what Joe just showed right there.
Yeah. Thank you. And then from Dark Horse, we have Onai Ronin trade paperback, and then All 8 Eyes, which is a book I will be talking about on this show at some point. That was a fun series. For sure.
I don't know if you're going to talk about it in the show because as we're doing this particular episode of the show, we're just adding more and more to your dibs list.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
It's there. We'll get to it. Nick, you know what it does? All it does is that it ensures the longevity of this program.
It does, but it also means I have to fucking wait for you to talk about some of these books. And
maybe don't snake James Tynion books off me, and I won't make you wait. I mean, there's a pretty simple and straight correlation there, Nicholas.
Lemire's next.
Yeah. You snake a Lemire book movie show is fucking over.
Okay, Jibs, now I know.
Calling it right now. I'm just taking tips on all Jeff Lemire books. Straight up tips.
Then Zdarsky, cool.
Yeah. So real quick, total aside, total and complete aside, because Lemire made me think of this. Invincible.
Oh yeah.
What do you think? Now I know that you talked about, so like the thing about like what made me think about this real quick is that I did not like the Sweet Tooth show. I love the Sweet Tooth comic. Did not like the show. I understand making changes to things.
Sure.
And needing to make changes to things, adapting from comics to TV show. But when you fundamentally change the tone and tenor of the story and the characters, that's what lost me Sweet Tooth. I've caught up on Invincible, all 4 episodes that have come out. Fucking excellent. Now I know you've talked about when you talked about Invincible on the show and both the book and the show. I know you said they've made changes there. Like, are they good changes?
Yes, they're good changes because it's not so much. There's some changes that are like what is Grace Mark's mother's first name? I'm blanking on it right now, but Mama Grayson, she doesn't have a job in the comics. Like she's not this real estate power, and she was a stay-at-home mom who kind of just like hung out with Omni-Man all the time and everything. But now they've kind of fleshed out her character more. And now she's kind of at a similar place where she was in the comics, was just like dealing with the grief of what her relationship was with her husband and everything. I don't think it matters what your stock is in life. If you ran into that and you found out 20 years of your life was a lie in such a savage way, it would fuck anybody up. But what they also did was they moved up some things, like where Omni-Man, spoiler for anybody who hasn't watched Invincible, I don't know like who the hell hasn't that would listen to this show, but if they moved up what Omni-Man did to the Guardians of the Globe, and they put it, I believe it was in the first episode, that did not happen that early in the comics. It's not like it happened like eons later, but it did not happen that early. But I think like those, and they've made some changes here too in this second season, but it's like a lot of it's moving stuff around in the timeline of the larger story of Invincible. But they keep, like you talked about, tone. And I think that is such a great call, like keeping that same tone. And then if you want to move some stuff around within the story, but still keeping the facts, the tentpole stuff by and large the same. And then where you make changes like with Mark's mom, it still fits the character, still fits the larger story. It's not like making those changes, like if you respect the tone, the changes that you want to make are usually going to work out, and that's what's happened here.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because I'm watching this and I'm just like, man, I mean, the show has just been absolutely excellent. It's been so excellent that I re-downloaded Fortnite just so that I could get the Invincible and Omni-Man skins.
Nice. And the other thing too, like the comics have a lot of like it gets the dialogue can get like really like deep back and forth. Like you just like you start digging into stuff, and it's like there's a level of commentary there. They do it a little like the show is a commentary on like superhero stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't do the same. It doesn't do it to the same degree as the comic did, and I just don't think it would play as well with like a mass audience either. It's just be too much like back and forth, and we wouldn't play. But yeah,
Yeah,
so all around, like good changes, 100%.
awesome.
All right, let's get to Marvel. What do you got for me?
Okay, Bert, I'll play. Don't you worry.
Oh boy,
Don't you sweat, sweet boy.
that's
I'll be
getting
playing for
crazy.
Fortnite. So from Marvel, the week of November 29th, year of our Lord 2023, we have Moon Knight issue 29, Miles Morales Spider-Man issue 12, Captain America issue 3, Miss Marvel the New Mutant issue 4, Realm of X issue 4, X-Men Blue Origins issue 1. This is one that I've meant to read. I want to read just in case you get a chance to do it yet. We have the Amazing Spider-Man Gang War First Strike issue 1, Spider-Woman issue 1, Howard the Duck issue 1. Now, I think this is more of like a celebration. It's an anniversary of sorts for this character, because if you look at who wrote it, it's Chip, who had a very successful Howard the Duck run, I think back in the mid 2000s. So there's a bunch of different writers on this. So I think it's a collection of different stories, which I do plan on picking up and reading.
Sure.
We have Obi-Wan issue 3, and then we have 2 books we want to read. Nicholas, why don't you kick us off first?
Yeah, so Predator versus Wolverine is a title that took me a little bit longer to give it a look. Just I knew I was going to want to check it out, but it just for whatever reason I waited a little bit, and I was so wrong to wait. This is so much fun. Like it's been so good, and I loved the first 2 issues. Then we get this third one, and of course, written by a friend of the show, Benjamin Percy. And then we have art in the present day by Ken Lashley. At the end of it, we have the part of Logan's era in Japan, which is drawn by Kizama. And then in the middle, the meat and potatoes of this issue is the Weapon X timeline for Wolverine, and that is drawn by Hayden Sherman. And I don't know, I think we've seen him do DC stuff, but I don't know if I've seen him do Marvel. I don't know if this was his first thing, but it was a perfect fit. Like him doing throwback stuff, like with Wolverine back in the day, and obviously very gritty story and everything. And it gets, as one would expect with a Wolverine Predator story, it's insanely violent. But it was a perfect fit, like him in that throwback setting. So I absolutely loved his addition to this. And just in general too, we've said it a million times, but until every person has read Benjamin Percy's Wolverine work, he knows that character inside and out better than anybody. His dialogue just in the first few pages is him breaking down as Wolverine narrating, breaking down his fight versus Predator, and just talking about how like Predator has all this tech, but he like that can make you a worse hunter because you start relying on it. And he puts it in a way that just it perfectly sounds like it's Logan talking. And I'm not saying there aren't other writers that do that, but he just gets it down to like every friggin' breath with Wolverine. And it's if you like Wolverine at all, you are going to love you'll love Benjamin Percy stuff. But this right here, I think, is one of those again where we talk about entries, like re-entries into comics, like Wolverine versus Predator. Just sounds fucking cool, and guess what? It's exactly what you want it to be with awesome writing too.
Yeah, fucking love that. This was a marriage made in heaven. It really was. And
Yep.
so I love to see that Hayden Sherman is getting work with the big 2. We know his work that he's done with Sean over at Image.
Yep.
And that's great. But now he's been doing, some bigger stuff over at, I shouldn't say bigger stuff, but I think he's done some Batman stuff. Like, like working in Image, it's great. It's creator owned, right? We love it. We love the stories they tell, but there is something about like when you, it's like getting that call up, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and
Right
it's huge
to the
for
show, and
amplifying
yeah,
your work, and then that way, and it helps with your image work or
your
elsewhere
work, your
later on.
reach, getting
Exactly.
exposure, all that stuff. So that's
Yeah.
excellent.
And now you have one now. There's a lot of times where I get annoyed where calls dibs. There's sometimes where it's like, okay, great. I'm glad you called dibs because it wasn't a book that interested me. But this time I have to tip my cap to you, sir, because you called dibs with like the perfect amount of flair. Using our Sunday Instagram post, which is my now favorite weekly post, and I've shown it, like my brother's seen it too. My family finds it very funny. At least my dad does. But what book did you call dibs on this weekend with help from the Padre?
Well, so I love this post, but it's becoming a little difficult because I want to be wildly cynical with it,
Yeah.
and I have
Nice.
to I have to make sure that I don't go overboard with it. Now, I
Sure.
think the original book I was going to put in there is something is killing the children,
Oh
and
boy.
I
Yeah,
joke
yeah,
with
just
you,
yep,
right,
yep, yep, yep,
right.
yep.
But it is, but it hit me as I'm doing that because I'm trying to think of like just like creative ways and things I think would be funny and that like would make
Yeah.
sense. So for those listening, if you don't follow us on Instagram, the post on Sunday is me at Nick's wedding where I had to hold a book so that the Padre could sing a few hymnals or whatever
Yeah.
he was singing, whatever he was singing. And the picture of me is just standing there just like looking down, holding open this book. And so I found a way to like take one of the pages because the book is open just perfectly where I could put a comic book cover on it, and then I think I have
Amazing.
something quippy to write. And so I'm thinking about wow, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm looking at all the books that are coming out this week and go, oh, none of us has called dibs on Rodney Barnes's Luke Cage Gang War issue 1. This would be a perfect way to do that.
Rodney loves it too because you've used his books twice because you did the Philadelphia one, which has a very special tie-in with.
Right. There was some stained glass of George Washington crossing the Potomac or something like that.
Yeah,
No, it
yeah,
was George Washington. Like it's like he was like handing out turkeys at Thanksgiving, like you see, the
yeah.
Patriots players do.
It
It's like
was
what the
bizarre.
hell? It
Yeah,
was weird,
but
but
Rodney loves it when you use his books for that bit.
yeah. So Luke Cage was this was fantastic. So what Rodney's doing is he's taking the storyline that was started by Chip in Daredevil, and what was the name of the event there that he did between sort of his first run of
Devil's
Daredevil,
Reign.
Devil's Reign. Thank you.
Mhm.
So the events from Devil's Reign. So Luke Cage in that storyline became mayor, right? Ousted Wilson Fisk. Fisk is now on Krakoa, if you can believe that. But so Luke Cage is mayor, but right before Fisk left, he had sort of came up with this sort of anti-vigilante law, right? So civilians or people with superpowers could not interfere with police matters, right? And that all stemmed from what the beginning of Chip's run on Daredevil was, is that Daredevil had inadvertently killed someone
Mhm.
early on. No spoiler that the book's been out for 3 fucking years, so
Yep.
my apologies. But like what that caught that turmoil just spun just such a great story for that character. But so now Luke Cage is in a position where he's trying to fix and save the city. The problem is, due to this law, right? And half the police force in Hell's Kitchen being on the take, right? Is that crime is rampant, right? You have new gang leaders in the 5 boroughs, and they can pretty much just do whatever they want, and there's nothing really that Luke Cage or the city can do to stop them. But he decides, that he is going to do something about it, come hell or high water. And this is, I think, a perfect book for Rodney to write. Because because I think of his work, with Philadelphia and dealing with like, essentially inner city gang war stuff,
Mhm.
right? It's
Mhm.
just a different setting. Luke Cage is a great character because Rodney, again, he, much like, the character writers that we enjoy, taps into, that either inner strength or inner turmoil or the emotional essence of a character and makes it their strength. That's what he's doing here with Luke Cage. And this was an excellent first issue. I've never read a Luke Cage book to save my life. But I read it because it was written by Rodney Barnes, and the art is absolutely tremendous. This was a great first series, and I can't wait until the first art comes out so that I can talk about it in more detail.
Yeah, I was when I saw Rodney, I this one. The other thing is too, I can't be mad about dibs. Like I had every opportunity to. This one totally slipped through my fingers. I was very excited for this when I saw I got announced. Like Rodney is doing Luke Cage. I mean, why hasn't this happened already? That's like my only thought here. It makes way too much fucking sense. So I'm glad to hear that the first issue kicked ass. I'm upset that I'm gonna have to wait at least 6 months before I can read a single freaking.
Could be a year, right? It all depends on how I'm feeling.
It's gonna be a lot longer than that.
Unless we get Rodney on and you snipe me like I've done to you so many times.
Dude, it's happened. That never happened on this show before. It has happened 3 times, I think, this year. We had, I know it happened with No One. It happened with Black Tape. And it happened with Kill Your Darlings. 3, and you didn't even fucking show up for the Kill Your Darlings interview, you rat fuck. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Dude, I missed 2, right?
Yeah, Groom was the other one.
That one and Matt Groom, and I'm so mad I missed both, but I was fucking dying.
I know you were. I know you were. I'm kidding. Not about you being a rat fuck, but about you being upset.
Wow.
Anyways, all right. From DC this week, we got Detective Comics 1078. Of course, that is Ron V's run. He's been kicking ass, and Jason Shaw and Alexander, right?
I bold take here. Might be my favorite Batman story going right now.
Wow.
And Chip's writing Batman. Writing Batman. This might be my favorite Batman story.
Oh, no. It would be a shame if any, the Kill Your Darlings crew or any Stegman buddies got a hold of this and somehow let Chip know about it, because that would really upset him. All right.
My Chip would understand.
I think you would. Action Comics 1059, Green Arrow issue 6, The Flash issue 3, Harley Quinn 34, Batman the Brave and the Bold issue 7, The Penguin issue 4, Titans Beast World issue 1. This is sort of an event for Tom Taylor over at Image. Power Girl issue 3, Alan Scott the Green Lantern issue 2, Batman Neo Gothic issue 5, City Boy issue 6, Cyborg issue 5, Steelworks issue 6, Amazon's Attack issue 2, Batman 89 Echoes issue 1, Wonder Woman Outlaw Edition issue 1.
All right. So there's no new books this week from AWA, but for those listening, there may or may not be some AWA related content dropping from TLDR later this week. So again, go subscribe, follow us on the YouTube, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Geeks Worldwide Radio. We're again, wherever you get your podcast, follow the TLDR Comic Book Club podcast.
You got them from my job?
You damn right I am. Always. I'll be giving out bets next.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna tell you what. I've got my 3 favorite bets to make right now. College football. I've been doing pretty well on that, actually. Sam Hauser bets and greasy international soccer bets.
International soccer bets.
Yeah.
Wow.
Haven't won yet because I do ridiculous greasy ass parlays, but one's gonna hit, Nick, and you'll never fucking see me again.
I'm waiting for the day that you tell me that you're doing mid-major conference college basketball games. That's when you know you've.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I made some serious bones on the tournament last year because that's right when all this started. That was a lot of fun. I did make one Maction bet on college football this year. That was not great.
Okay, I'm proud of you though. You're betting unders though. You're finally you get it.
Well, no, but no, I tell you what though, Sam Hauser, because fucking DraftKings, when they put it up, they're gonna put Sam Hauser 3s at 2.5. You damn right, I'm taking the fucking over on that.
You got a good edge there. There's no question about it.
Hauser and Pritchard, baby. Those two, betting on those 2 guys, easy fucking money. Anyway,
responsibly, everybody, please.
Yes, and don't listen to me. Really, I don't win much.
Don't give Joe betting advice either.
Not you. I fade you like a fucking. You want easy money? Fade Friar.
I'll hear about it all day. Never again. I promise you that. I told you. You asked me one time recently, and I was like, I'm not telling you what to play. You're gonna be mad at me if it doesn't work out. Like I have control over it.
So I'll tell you what, I've gotten better. I'm not great. I've gotten better.
Good. Are you still using the tools?
No, well, so I have a podcast I listen to for my college football bets.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to Sam Hauser bets, that's just I'm just taking it.
You're just forward thinking. You just know what's going on. Nice.
I'm just fucking Sammy Hauser, baby. I'll tell you what, I'm never gonna fucking bet again though. Al Horford threes.
Oh yeah, no, I feel your pain there. I've been
because here's the thing, we're on a complete fucking tangent here. But when I bet fucking Al Horford threes, he lines up for the first three, he bricks it. I know he's not hitting another one for the rest of the fucking night. The nights I don't do it, like tonight, I'm not going to take fucking Horford. Watch Horford fucking drain 4 threes. He went 0 for 5 the other night. 0 for fucking 5. He had good looks. Just 2. He hits 2.
And some guys you have that right read on, some guys you don't. It's just a matter of figuring out which ones you do. And sometimes there's no real science behind it. I don't always get it.
But anyways, Boom Studios, 11/29/2023. Something is Killing the Children, issue 35. Real quick on this, Nicholas, it's the end of this current arc. This arc was fucking outstanding.
Nice.
So much outstanding. I wanted to see when the next issue was coming out, because sometimes League of Comic Geeks will have but no, they I know I read somewhere that Tynan's got this planned for about 75 issues.
Wow.
So I felt confident, because they could have ended it here and that could have been the end of it. And I would have been like, I'm not prepared for this, but no, we're still going. So anyways, Something's Killing the Children, issue 35, Grimm, issue 15, Berserker, Fallen Empire, issue 1, Alice Never After, issue 5, Sirens of the City, issue 5.
Good. So real quick, so good. I've said it a million times. Like I love Carrie Randolph's art. And I mean, there's one image where we have a character doing this double face palm look that I'm just like, he's so fucking good. And there's so many other awesome, this was from an artistic standpoint, this was the best issue yet, hands down. He just absolutely went off. So I just want to say that this is a book I'm going to be talking about in the show when it concludes, but I've had so much fun just experiencing his art alone in this series.
Love that. And then Wild's End, issue 6, and then Slow Burn, issue 2, which we both are currently reading. And then Nicholas, how about a Dark Horse?
Ooh, well, we have Giant Robot Hellboy, issue 2, of course. And then we have Drive Like Hell from Rich Douek, Alex Cormack, and Hassan Othman Elau. And we talked about it after the first issue, how this was kick-ass, and this story moves pretty much as fast as that fucking car moves. What's it? Is it Joe Bob, if I'm not mistaken?
No, it's is it Ray Bob or something like
Bobby
that?
Ray. Bobby Ray and Dahlia. And we've got so many degenerate characters getting thrown in the mix here. We meet this annoying ass preacher, and I'll tell you what too. I'm loving the way that Rich writes the story, but Cormac, his art style for drawing these just it fits. It makes me characters that you're supposed to hate. He really just knows how to make you hate him a little extra because of his art style.
It's the way, it's the line art in the characters' faces.
Yeah,
it's the eyes and it's the mouths, right?
The mouths,
I talk about this a lot with Weather De La Dera's art with Something Is Killing the Children, right? Because a lot of them are wearing masks. It's the eyes. He's able to get so much out of the eyes, whereas Cormac, right? Whether it's Crimson Cage or it's Sync or it's any of the Road of Bones, Sea of Sorrows, right? Any of these books that him and Rich have done together, I love the grittiness of his art, but it's the line art of the faces that really because there's a panel where it's showing the preacher where he's just your prototypical greaseball, he's snake oil salesman, right? And it's just the angle where it's sort of coming up and it's showing his face, and the way his mouth is open just evokes creepiness and sliminess. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
He is. I mean, this guy is like a real piece of shit. I mean, slicked back hair. I mean, full white outfit, not even just white shorts or whatever the hell it is that they say. And I think you should leave. But yeah, so I absolutely love this. And also, like, I keep talking about the title from Dark Horse, Mad Cave, The Devil That Wears My Face. Like, Cormac's the artist on that series too. He's everywhere right now. And if it's horror, like, and he's one of the guys you think of right now when it comes to his art style. It's just so damn good. But yeah, Drive Like Hell has been a lot of fun, and I'm ready for that third issue because it reads so damn fast and it's perfect for the story too. Like this should move at like a breakneck pace, like it does. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got. IDW TMNT Saturday Morning Adventures issue 7 and My Little Pony issue 19. So a big week for Swaggins and Mac of Mac and Goo. From Skybound, we have Firepower issue 29, which coming to an end with issue 30. And that's a book I've been trying to catch up on because I didn't give it a look. I actually read the prelude while I was on my honeymoon, and I absolutely fell in love with this. So I'll be talking about on the show, hopefully right around when issue 30 comes out. Then from Vault, we have a book that another installment to the Barbaric universe, franchise, whatever you want to call it, over at Vault Comics. Barbaric, Wrong Kind of Righteous, issue 1. And I mean, this is more of like what you want in this universe. And what I love here is that not only are we getting, a load of humor, we're getting Owen, we're getting Axe, we're getting Soren, but we're getting another talking weapon thrown into the mix here. And we see it right on the main cover that like, hey, like we're seeing like this flail, I guess is what you'd call it. And it's like, okay, what's this character bring to the table? And both that character and its holder are awesome. Like they from start to finish in this 48-page issue, I absolutely love them. And I don't want to say more than that about these two, but when it comes to Owen and Soren, there's specifically one like back and forth where it's very early in this issue where Owen and Soren are talking about like, Owen's calling somebody a wench, like a waitress, a wench. And she goes into this whole thing with him about like, what if you were called a barbarian? He's like, I am a barbarian. And he's like, what if I called you like, and then it's about her being called a witch. And she's like, I don't like it when you call me a witch. Like, it's fine. Like you call me witch or like, she rattles off. It's a great back and forth. I've probably said too much already, but if you've liked Barbaric, go pick it up. And honestly, if you haven't checked out Barbaric, and you've heard me talk about it like till I'm blue in the face because I do every time we get stuff come out, this is a great way to just a great little introduction. You don't need to know anything about Owen really to enjoy this issue. You don't even know anything about Axe or anything, but you will read this and you're like, wow, where can I get more of this shit? And then you'll see there's already been a ton of Barbaric stuff that's come out. So
when you say there's a ton, would you say there's a lot of it to read so far?
I would say there's a healthy amount to read. Like when we talk about there are some titles where it's like, okay, like 70, 75 issues is may seem like a daunting thing to a lot of people. This we have every arc is 3 issues. So and there's 3 arcs. So that's only 9. And then you have there's another one-off that they did, and I can't remember. I remember the cover, but I can't remember the title of it. But this is only like, I don't know, issue 12 in this universe. So it's it's a ton to read in terms of like you can spend a lot of time with these characters, but in the grand scheme of things, you could probably finish it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
So I've talked about Barbaric in full on the show. If you want more details on it, go back and listen to that episode. But I highly, highly recommend it. And again, like this is a great way to like Vault does a lot of good stuff, but there's been nothing better than how they've not just the story of Barbaric, but how they've grown this universe and how they've handled it. And Michael Morisi is at the center of it all. And then Nicholas Eames is also writing on this issue with Nathan Gooden, who I think is the only I think that is the creative team on all of this stuff. But how they've built it out and allowed for so many entry points for readers. It's pretty remarkable, actually. And it's someone who's been there from the jump. I've enjoyed every second of it. So it's crazy. It's truly been a sight to behold. But what else we got this week?
Okay, so I'm gonna bring this show home, baby.
Okay.
Because that's what Doc does.
Oh,
Doc's the closer, right?
oh,
You go out there, you give us a solid 8. I come out and I bring us
wow.
home, baby.
Thank you. 8 innings. Wow, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
I didn't say they were good innings.
Well, if you're closing, I kept us in the game. We're winning.
Well, I could be mop up, right?
Oh,
Whatever.
wow. Now you're
My,
even worse than me. So there you go.
one of my favorite things about your wedding was the day after having breakfast, meeting some of your family members, and your grandfather just telling a story after story after story of going to your games and how you got your fucking ass whooped.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. He hasn't brought up those stories a lot, but yeah, I
Good
don't know.
man. He's a good man. He's a
I
good
guess,
man.
yeah.
Okay. So, ending with Image Comics, we have What's the Furthest Place from Here, issue 16. We have Local Man, issue 7. Real quick, Nicholas, have you read Local Man at all?
Not yet. Nope.
Okay. So, I don't want to spoil anything, but there was a moment where the main character, I've talked about it on this show, right? Free Jack.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he's now the local man. He's trying to the start of this arc is he's looking, people are going missing, and a girl has gone missing. A girl was found dead, and he's trying to get to the bottom of it.
Oh,
And it leads him to the swamps. There's a cult there. They dose him up with a heavy dose of acid, because I don't know why yet, but they
Why
just
not?
want him to kind of go away. And so what I loved here was the art, right? Where, because he's tripping balls, and on the panels he's interacting with the thought bubbles, which I thought was really cool. And he's
I
like
love
grabbing
that.
them, and right, and so it was really unique and really well done. But the female character is one of the main characters in it, who he had a past and previous sort of love thing with, sends him a picture, and now the picture that he thinks he gets is of a part of a female anatomy.
Mm.
So he's like, oh, okay, it's go time. So he reciprocates. Problem is, she didn't actually send him a picture of her anatomy.
Oh
She
boy.
sent him a picture of a donut.
Oh boy.
I laughed so hard
Wow.
at this sequence of panels. So if you haven't read Local Man, that should be enough to get you to go out, buy the first volume, read it, and get caught up, because it was friggin' hysterical.
That's
Absolutely hysterical.
wild.
This was one of the best issues of the series, but that was also one of my most favorite moments, I think, reading comics over the past year. It was just such a great sequence. It was tremendous.
That's insane.
We have Swan Songs issue 5, Edenwood issue 2. This is, of course, written and drawn by Tony Daniel.
God, his designs on his characters, man, in Edenwood are so friggin' cool. Like, we saw the main character, on the cover of the first issue, and I fell in love right then and there. But
Yeah.
man, like, if the characters we get thrown in the mix in Edenwood too, oh, they look so fucking cool, man. I just want to know
Yeah.
all their stories.
Yeah, he's awesome. He really is. Kaya issue 13, The Schlub issue 4, of course, by Ryan Stegman and
Kenny Porter and
Thank you.
Tyrell. Why can't I remember his last name? Fuck. Anyways, go ahead.
So we each had a brain fart there, so I don't feel so
Cannon?
bad. And then Quest issue 4, and then lastly, but certainly not least, is the number one that I called dibs on Sunday night. I usually don't call dibs this early, Nicholas, but I because it was a holiday weekend, I cut you some slack with uploading the books to download, so you got those up on Sunday. So
Thanks,
I'm
boss.
looking through them, no problem. You got to have a little give and take, otherwise people get surly. You don't want an uprising. You don't want a disgruntled, secretary. That's the last thing you want. But I'm looking and go, it's not a lot of number ones this week. Let me check this one out. And as soon as I read it, had to call dibs. So Crave issue 1. Can you look up it's one person,
Marla Lovett.
Thank you. Absolutely tremendous. Like, it's got that great sort of indie comic art flair to it, sort of a bit of a sketchiness, that I've come to enjoy. But this is a wild, absolutely wild book. I don't know, between this and Red Light, I don't know. Doc's getting a little freaky deaky here, but like, holy smokes, man. So Crave, right? You can kind of think about what this book, sort of what path it's going down. And the premise is that it is taking place on a university campus where a character who you meet only briefly has you think is part of design a team or is someone that has created this app called Crave. And all of a sudden, people don't know why or how, but it's on everyone's phone, like that dumb fucking YouTube album from a few years ago. You wake up one morning, it's in your iTunes account. I didn't fucking download this. What the hell? Right?
Oh yeah.
Right. But it's this app and everyone's using it. And so it's like this weird AI, like you basically you type into it like what your desire is, what you're craving, and it'll either say yes, this is a match, follow these steps, and you'll have it. Like you want a three-way, and it's written in the stars, it's going to happen. It tells you walk down this hallway, bop, 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 talk to this
Oh
person, and then
wow.
bang. Or it'll say there's a less than 10% chance of that happening. And some hearts get broken in this issue. But like that concept in and of itself was the sell for me. But then as you meet some of the characters, and you there's this great suspense that's built, there's this great intrigue that's built into the story, that you got one character that's sort of like kind of hesitant to it all. He's sort of, but he's sort of like holding off, and just everything about it, there's great mystery here. There is a lot, I'm gonna tell you. It gets, there's a lot of passion in this book, let's put it that way.
Mm. I
But
like that.
but I mean, just an
Classy.
absolutely excellent premise, really well written. The art is fantastic. I mean, it just fits, right? Like the art style fits. And I said, yeah, dibs. I mean, I was gonna call dibs on it anyway, just so you wouldn't steal it from me, because I'm tired of like, I didn't even get a chance to look at that book yet. Nick's already called fucking dibs on it. I'm gonna do it for once, you know.
Hey man, I just I
And
have a
hey,
nose.
it's a dog eat dog world out there, you know.
Doc eat Doc world. Yeah.
Yeah, well, dog eats, baby. That Doc eats too much. Apparently, we gotta slow that down a bit.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anyways, Crave issue 1, Image Comics. Maria Lovett or
Yeah.
Lavelle.
Love
Yep,
it.
love it. Yeah, excellent. Read
Or
it.
leave
Pick
it.
it up. No, don't leave it. Grab it. Grab it. Read it by yourself. Right? You don't.
Oh yeah, be careful.
Read it with your significant other if you want.
Mhm.
You feel a little amorous. But like, this is not a family time book. Okay, so this is an after dark TLDR recommendation, but it is absolutely excellent.
Getting all of the advice from the Love Doctor.
That's right.
Real quick, we did skim past these two just to finalize things. Mad Cave, we got Under the Influence issue
Oh
5,
yes, my
and
bad.
from Titan, we got Conan the Barbarian issue 5, which I keep seeing great things about. I may have to
Yeah,
check this out. I think Zub's the one that's writing that. Doesn't see a
no,
lot
I
of
think
cool
so.
covers too. Yeah.
Hmm.
But anyways, that is going to do it again. Last reminder for this episode: subscribe on our audio channels if you haven't already. Leave a rating and review. 5 stars on Apple. If you listen anywhere else, whatever the highest rating you can leave there, please do. And again, if you're ever like, oh, I think someone would like listening to this podcast because of all the subject matter that we cover in this within the industry, share the episode, the gift guide episode, with them, and even share with people who maybe just need help. There's definitely people, I know there are definitely people who need help with this kind of stuff this time of year. We want to make sure that all our fellow comic book fans or people who are going to get introduced to it get a chance to get some cool ass shit, not fucking doubles the stuff that they already have. I'm basically just trying to deal with my own trauma that I have with my own father. And that's what this whole episode's about. I mean, this whole podcast is about, excuse me.
Mike
But
Friar is a saint.
anyways, my background now is starting to move on me, and I think Violet's getting restless. So we got to get going. Until next week, Joe, stay sexy.
Yeah, you know it, baby. All right.